Good evening and welcome. We are so glad to have you here. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful 4th of July. We know it was an amazing celebration here in Radford with fantastic music and events and the best fireworks in the New River Valley. So we are glad to be together today to do a number of wonderful things, but we always like to begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll ask Gary Harris to come forward and lead us in the pledge.
Present arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. And at this time, we'll ask that you join us in a moment of silence. You may use this time for silent reflection, to prepare for the meeting, or for silent prayer. Thank you all very much. At this time, we would like to open the floor for any citizen comments, for any items that you want to talk about for the public. We will ask that you come down to our podium. Please use the microphone, state your name, limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. And the floor is now open. Seeing no mad rush to the podium, we do feel safe in saying we will close the floor for public comments this evening. And then we'll turn to our agenda. First up on the agenda, we have our school board chair and a representative of the school board, Jenny Reif and Chris Calfee are here this evening. Jenny, if you would take to the podium and introduce our interim superintendent, Dr. Collins.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jenny Reif, chair of the Radford City School Board, and I would like to introduce to you all Dr. Roger Collins. He is our Radford City Public Schools interim superintendent. Dr. Collins has a long and distinguished career as a public educator. Beginning in 1983, he served as a teacher, assistant principal, assistant superintendent, and division superintendent in Virginia Public School Divisions. Between 2003 and 2014, he served as a superintendent of schools in Nelson County, Virginia. He served as an adjunct professor both at the University of Virginia and Shenandoah University. And for the last several years, he's been an associate clinical professor in the Graduate Educational Leadership Program at James Madison University. In that program, he has taught and mentored many public school professionals seeking to attain the skills and credentials to qualify for superintendent licensure. Dr. Collins has served as an executive coach and mentor for numerous newly appointed superintendents throughout Virginia. Dr. Collins is an experienced, collaborative, and relationship-driven educational leader who we believe will provide Radford City Schools with outstanding leadership as we go through this period of transition. And with that, I'll hand over the microphone to Dr. Collins.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for that warm welcome. I've spent today out in the schools talking with principals, employees. I purchased a really great salad from Sal's for dinner tonight. It was outstanding, but I'd just like to say that you really have a wonderful community and an outstanding school division. So my goal is to keep the main thing, teaching, learning, and leadership. I'm passionate about what I do. I love working with children, but we have to support those folks who are out in the classrooms, out driving school buses, those folks answering phones, answering emails from parents and others. So we're all a big team and a big family as far as I'm concerned. So I'm a native of Wise County. Someone told me today that I sure had a fierce accent, and I thought, I have an accent? I didn't realize that. I left Wise County in 1979 to go far and away, but I travel back home to visit my mother often, so I drive by Radford. I've actually been a customer of one of the local antique stores, so in my free time I do a little antiquing and all that with my wife, but I know how important education is to you. I share that passion, and with that I'd like to share just a small decal that I keep in my pocket, and it's called Remember Your Why. Remember Your Why. So in each of my meetings I've had with the school principals, assistant principals, and other folks, I bring out this decal and I let people think about what I mean when I say that. And so we're often motivated by many different things in this world today, but again, my goal is to keep the main thing, teaching, learning, and leadership. We're all a part of a big family, and I look forward to being here and working with each of you. Attended Farmers Market a couple of weeks ago and purchased some great food. I think it was over there, if my bearings are correct, but I'm still learning. And I hope to model that for others. You know, we're all learning, and our learning community moves together as we embrace that concept. So thank you. I look forward to working with you, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. Well, welcome to Radford. We are glad to have you here. As you said, we do have a wonderful school division. Radford City Public Schools has long been a gem in the Radford crown, and we are so proud that you've come on board and looking forward to your leadership and your guidance here. So thank you so much. Welcome. We need to move a little further down the agenda, and a couple of things that we need to take care of are recognizing important achievements here in Radford. Our previous council, going back just a few years, had established a wonderful award in memory of Robert Big Al Allen Hall. And Bruce Brown, who was our former mayor and certainly a legend here in Radford, helped establish that award to recognize folks who go above and beyond in the community. Mayor Brown is here with us this evening. I'm going to ask him to come down to the podium, and while he's heading that way, to tell us a little bit more about the award. I want to say, you know, we'd gone for several years where we hadn't presented this award, and Seth brought up right after he came on board, hey, it might be a good idea if we reintroduce this, and so we've worked through and we've come up with a way to do that. So Bruce, the floor is yours, my friend. Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you. At moments like this, I'm reminded of Elizabeth Taylor, where she would tell the audience, you never put an old professor and an old politician behind a microphone. I don't intend to keep you real long tonight. I'll kind of use Elizabeth Taylor, and you know, the older I get, the fewer people who knows who Elizabeth Taylor is, so I think I'm still in a good audience to do that with. But I am extremely honored to say this on this side of the podium. Thank you for your service. I always thought that was kind of cool when somebody got up and was going to address council to recognize servant leadership. Because that's what I want to talk to you tonight about, which is the impetus behind the Humanitarian Service Above Self Award. Didn't have anything to do with Big Al Hall, actually. It was a name that we could tag to it because he was an epitome of that award. There was some speculation back when we did this, and it was a council action, that it was some form of patronage or my way of saying thanks to a good friend, and nothing could be further from the truth. David asked me when he assumed the office, did I think I had a legacy? And I thought a little bit about it, and I said, if there's a legacy I'd like to be known for, it happened at the Sportsman about 3 weeks ago when a guy that works in Public Works came up to me and he said, you will not remember my name or know who I am, but I just wanted you to know that your council's leadership made the employees of this city feel respected, felt valued, and appreciated. The best thing we did was to hire David Ridpath that created that culture, and I felt real proud that we initiated a family picnic that I hope still happens in July or June, because when I taught, I tried to get people to understand the only asset in an organization that can appreciate over time is people. It's not the technology, it's not the equipment. And you spend more time with employees than you spend awake with your family. And it was cool to see a philosophy of my instruction employed, and the kids could play with one another, and you could actually see that person that you worked with, and you tell your wife, this is a real conehead, and you could get it firsthand and see it in live and in person. So it's that, and I remember, David, well, on July 4th, when the main water line broke down at the bottom of Denby Street. And those folks were proud to be out there repairing that and getting the city's water back online. And that's what led to Keith and Mick and Dick and Bobby and myself thinking about, you know, it's important to sweat the little things and to recognize the people that make a difference. And that's the impetus behind the service above self. When the derecho went through, Lisa Ridpath was in the command center fielding calls. I got to speak at Keith Crowder's funeral. And I looked around the room and I saw Skipper and a bunch of the old Bobcats in there, and I said, you know, this is really the fabric of this community that's in this room. And there ought to be a scorer's table in this school division because Keith Crowder kept the books at every game that took place. And we don't want to wait till they're dead to recognize that. So I'm real proud of Seth kind of taking this ball and run with it, and the council bringing this out tonight and asking me to give some context or perspective of why this exists. Big Al Hall was just a name we could hang on it. He died in 2011. He was a student of mine at New River. And when I moved to this city to put my daughter through Radford City Public Schools, he took it on himself to have me understand what a Bobcat was. Now, I didn't need a whole lot of training because in 1972, I came over to see a football game where Gate City played the Radford Bobcats, and there's 17,000 people in the stadium. I thought, my God. And there's only 3 seats, and I was on the Gate City side, so I got to listen to the Gate City cheer. Get fired up, Gate City, fired up. And I could relate to that because where I come from, you think you got a dialect? Far, tar, and wash are 3 of my favorite words. So I did need a lot of training. But between him and Nikki Sidner being Tiffany's best friend, as most of you know, if you come to Radford and you ain't got black and gold pumping through your veins, you're an interloper, and it takes some doing for people to kind of let you sit up there. So I'm very fortunate that this award is being reinvigorated because it's a testimony to the people who, like Big Al, did stuff not to be recognized. I think it's very fitting this week in particular because this is the 20th anniversary of the Spirit of America. And Big Al didn't like the fact that the Radford City celebrated the 4th of July on the 3rd of July because it was cheaper. And so he took it on himself. Now, if you know anything about Big Al, he's the kind of guy that could call up Mac Brown, who is the coach at Texas, and talk with him. You better talk with him because he's going to keep calling anyhow. So they did. And he was a friend of Jimmy Fortune. The Statler brothers had quit doing the 4th of July in Stanton. And so he wanted to see if we couldn't get that going here in Radford, and Jimmy did it with open arms. Now, I don't know that you all really know this, but Big Al also called R.J. Kirk and said, how about you fronting the fireworks? And that probably costs more than $40,000 a year now, and those are the best fireworks in the New River Valley, bar none. And I can say that because I've been to a couple of them that are outside of Radford. He also made sure that the hotel comped the rooms for the guests that came with that entourage. He made sure that Wade's provided the food. And after he passed, I really thought that maybe the rec department or the schools or somebody, because there's a lot of kids that have a championship ring because Big Al cared enough to find the money to pay for that. So what you're bringing back tonight isn't about Big Al Hall or about this council. It's about what Radford is about. And it's about taking care of each other and to recognize those unsung heroes. And I know who you're getting ready to recognize, and tonight you could not have found a better person that does something out of the goodness of their heart. And I hope this thing gets back out front and center and is recognized, and that you as a community will say to these folks, you really need to remember Carolyn Woolwine, who just retired as a crossing guard and knows every kid in this city, and she knows if they're hungry, and she knows if they're not there. Daryl and Michelle Mullins, who probably got hit up by Big Al to pay for all the stuff that he had done, because it wasn't generally coming from Big Al. But there's so many folks that are the epitome of what this is all about. And I value that you've asked me to come and put some perspective and texture to it, because it shouldn't be blank from 2018 to 2023. There's too many good folks that ought to be on this plaque and be recognized, and it's your legacy that you're leaving. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Bruce. And thank you for your leadership. I will say that your guidance of the city of Radford is fondly remembered by all of us who do know, and certainly remembered by all those folks that you helped to make sure received recognition for their hard work. So we struggled a little bit trying to figure out who would be the right person to recognize to bring this award back to the forefront. And I think we were able to find someone who unanimously makes a really good choice here. Whereas the City of Radford honors Robert Allen Big Al Hall with the Humanitarian Service Above Self Citizenship Award, and whereas this award recognizes unsung heroes that contribute to make the City of Radford a better place, and whereas a humanitarian is recognized as one who extends benevolence and kindness by putting others before oneself, and whereas the City of Radford wishes to recognize and honor Peggy Huber for her dedication and service to beautifying Radford. And whereas Peggy has been volunteer gardening throughout the city for over 35 years, as well as serving on the Beautification Commission, and whereas Peggy has also served Radford as an educator in the classroom, but also in the community, her smiling face can be seen in various flower beds throughout the city, and she is always willing to lend a planting tip or two. And whereas Peggy feels as though she was born with dirt in her blood, and gardening is how she can contribute to Radford, and whereas Peggy's plantings and designs grow year after year, brightening up the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Radford City Council does hereby honor Peggy Huber for her dedication and service by presenting her with the Robert Allen Big Al Hall Humanitarian Service Above Self Citizenship Award. I'd like to make a motion that we accept this resolution. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Congratulations, Peggy. Would you come down front? Council, if you all will join me. Come here. You're the star of the show. Come up here. Bruce, can you come join us? I love the flowers. You look like a flowers.
He was being kind. A lot of times what they see is your back end or no.
Peggy, thank you for all that you do, all you continue to do. We appreciate you. Bruce, thank you for coming tonight.
I was just actually at her house a week ago buying plants.
There you go. I think half of Radford has
Yeah,
plans from
yeah.
Peggy, so. Notice those shoes, holy cow. Glow in the dark. I know. Well, it is always nice to take a moment to just look around and recognize the hard work of folks in our community. We have been fortunate to be able to do a lot of that here, not only in the last few years, but recently. Virginia Living Magazine posted a list of the best of Virginia, and we were able to recognize a number of folks. In fact, I think there were 29 businesses that belong to the Chamber of Commerce that received recognition. It's significant that Radford hosts that many businesses that are viewed as best of here in Southwest Virginia, here in the New River Valley, and across the Commonwealth. Now, one of the things that we didn't have fully on our radar were some of the top trades category winners, and so we wanted to rectify that this evening and to recognize some of the top trades. So Jessie serves on our Chamber of Commerce as the council representative, so I believe she has a resolution.
I do. City of Radford Proclamation, Best of Virginia Living Magazine recognitions. Whereas Virginia Living Magazine had community votes on Best of Virginia 2023, and whereas 17 Radford businesses were recognized as #1 winners, and whereas these #1 winners include Tuck Chiropractic, New River Valley Pediatrics, New River Derm, Thompson & Linton, Patrick Moore PC, Mullins Funeral Home, Virginia Furniture Market, McAdoo, Sal's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria, Radford Coffee Company, Tie This Express, Pete Dye River Course, NRV Community Services, The Hair Loft, Carter Bank and Trust, and Carillion. Whereas 11 Radford businesses were recognized as notable mention businesses, and whereas these notable mention businesses include Brickhouse Pizza, Longway Brewing, Sinkland Farms, Central Methodist Church, Blacksburg Boxing and Fitness, Carillion New River Valley, Garrett's, Gates Florist and Gifts, PR Sturgill Jewelry, Truist, and Member One. And whereas 4 businesses were recognized as top trades, and whereas these top trades winners are Sam Brothers, Inc., Highlander Construction, Shelter Alternatives, and Norman's Cabinetry. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Radford that these businesses are hereby recognized for their exceptional business product, services, and dedication to the City of Radford as they celebrate this monumental achievement. Mayor, I would make a motion that we accept this proclamation.
Thank you very much. We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. Can we give a round of applause to our businesses? And I know we have some folks here, so come on down front. And Dan, would you join us as well? We have so much talent and so much support throughout this community, and we are fortunate to be able to recognize those folks who do things and provide service to the citizens of the City of Radford. Under our old business, we do have a couple of areas that we need to consider for appointments to boards and commissions. For our Social Services Board, Gina Ray has indicated that she's interested in continuing with the board. Council members, if you all think that sounds good, we can put Gina down. She is an impeccable servant and just an incredible person all the way around. For the Tourism Board, we've had a couple of people reach out, although I don't think we received information. Patsy Collins and Paul Palante have both expressed an interest. Patsy Morris, gotcha. Patsy Morris and Paul Palante have both expressed an interest.
And we actually have we have another position open on the Community Services Board.
Okay.
So,
Do you have another name?
I do. So I spoke with the director, Vicki Collins, and she's had a conversation with Melanie Atkins. She's the director of clinical services at NRVCS. She's a 20-year employee. She was involved with development of NRV's crisis intervention team, and I can go on and on. But she obviously is knowledgeable, and sitting on that board, I think she'd be a tremendous asset to us. So I would like to nominate her.
So our nominees,
Yes, social service, sorry, dear, yeah.
so our nominee for Social Services, nominees are Gina Ray and Melanie Atkins. Nominees for Tourism, Patsy Morris and Paul Palante. Do we have anyone that we wanted to ask to serve in the real estate position for the City University Commission?
I reached out to a couple of people. I had two decline.
Okay.
One that I haven't heard back from yet, so I'm hoping
Next time?
yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we will leave that out for now, but if it pleases council, we could go on and accept a motion to accept Gina, Melanie, Patsy, and Paul for their respective service.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Motion, a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on, we are fortunate to have the wonderful service of the Radford Heritage Foundation helping to keep things moving forward while remembering our history and our heritage here in this community. Scott Gardner, the executive director of the Heritage Foundation, is here to present a mid-year report for us. Scott, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Bruce Brown, for the history lesson. There were a lot of things I did not know about our area's history, so lots of things we need to record. But thank you, Mayor Horton, City Council, and City Manager Ridpath for giving us this time this evening to review the work that the Radford Heritage Foundation has done through the first half of January of 2023. We greatly appreciate the support that you and all city staff provide to us to operate the Glencoe Mansion Museum and Gallery and the Mary Draper Ingalls Cultural Heritage Park. And thank you also to all the board members and volunteers and staff who make the Radford Heritage Foundation's activities possible. I also want to extend a thank you to Jesse Foster, our city council representative, who has done a lot for our organization, so thank you. Okay. So we as the Radford Heritage Foundation are a nonprofit organization that partners with the City of Radford to operate the Glencoe Mansion. With the museum, we say we have a 3-in-1 museum experience with the historic residence, history exhibits, and an art gallery. And we truly work to preserve and promote the history and culture of all of Radford. We are also responsible for the operation of the Mary Draper Ingalls Cultural Heritage Park, which includes the Mary Draper Ingalls statue and the New River Train Observatory. But this is an exciting year for us as it's the 25th anniversary of the Glencoe Mansion, which has been a partnership between the City of Radford and the Radford Heritage Foundation since the very beginning. The museum has come a long way over the past 25 years, and I do remember as a middle schooler, I attended the opening weekend of Glencoe, and it's amazing to see just how much has changed over the years and how it's really becoming integrated into the community. And shout out to Seth for his grandfather's role in that. But as far as the museum, our goal is to provide informative and engaging content and events throughout the year that draw people from the community and beyond to Radford, which in turn helps with economic development for the city. As far as charting these numbers, we're expanding our meaning of visitors to not just be the number of people who sign the guest book. We're trying to incorporate the people who attend the events that are on the grounds and also who are going down to the Mary Draper Ingalls Cultural Heritage Park. So for the first half of 2023, we're estimating about 1,500 visits to the site. And where are these people coming from? Well, they come from all over the region, all over the country, and even from different countries in the world. Just this year, we had someone visit from the Virgin Islands. But many of our visitors come right off the interstate, looking for a place to stop and something to do. And then another key thing is people who live here bringing in family members. And I wanted to key that in with those pictures that I have. The first group, the couple in the middle lives here, and they brought family from Pennsylvania and Washington State here. And then the family on the right side, they live here in Radford, but they invited family members from Louisiana. So we get people from a lot of different parts of the country. But it's not just visitors coming in randomly. We also, we're getting a little trigger happy with this. We also bring in groups from educational institutions. So we do have a group of Radford University students from their African American history class. And then there's a small group from the Dayspring Christian Academy. And then we also bring in people from, adult groups, be they professional development groups or community organizations. But we have the Virginia Cooperative Extension and Service Group on the left. And on the right, we have the Floyd Courthouse DAR. But speaking of drawing people into the community, in January, we hosted the opening of our new exhibit on slavery in Appalachia with a powerful panel discussion on the topic right here in the City Council chambers. We were very pleased by the large and positive response we received from the community and beyond. The turnout for the panel discussion was impressive, and this space was pushed to its capacity. The project brought us a lot of attention in the press throughout the state, and we were very excited that we were actually featured on multiple segments on WDBJ7, WSLS 10, and WFXR. So we were getting a lot of publicity for the area. Now, this project was funded through a grant from Virginia Humanities, but it was also the result of a collaboration with many entities. So we worked with parties from Radford University, Virginia Tech, Emory and Henry, the Calfee Community and Cultural Center, and Colonial Williamsburg, and they all worked to make this a reality. And inspired by the success of this exhibit, we're making plans to continue to tell the history of the African American experience, and we're looking at the period right after the Civil War and to those first years of freedom. But speaking of collaborations, for this year, once again, we teamed up with Mountain Trotter Arts to host an engaging, family-friendly event on the grounds. For this year, we took our popular West End Wednesday series and transformed it into the West End Weekend. So we had 3 days of activities all in one weekend. And for this, we had great bands, we had over 30 craft vendors, we had great food trucks, and it wasn't just at Glencoe. We also were able to collaborate with Longway Brewing to have it at their site as well. We were really pleased with the turnout, and we saw great sales and really saw the advantage of this one-time event versus the West End Wednesdays. And then a new partnership that we entered into this year, it was with the Radford Noon Rotary for their inaugural year of the Field of Honor display on the grounds of Glencoe. This powerful display had over 130 flags on the grounds from Memorial Day through July 4th. And this is something that individuals and entities could sponsor a flag or flags to honor heroes in their lives. And a lot of praise goes to Frank Herzog and Tom Alston for their leadership in bringing this together. And the many Rotary members that I saw putting up all of those flags over the weeks. But on May 29th, we had the dedication ceremony, and we worked alongside the Radford Noon Rotary, the Radford VFW, the Dublin American Legion Post number 58, and other individuals to host a very moving dedication ceremony. And the event included remarks from Mayor Horton and Delegate Jason Ballard. And we are very much looking forward to year 2 of this project and already discussing how we can expand it. But speaking of events in Radford, we have one coming up at the end of this month. This is the Mary Draper Ingalls Festival, and that'll be from July 28th through 30th. And this is truly a collaborative project. This brings together the City of Radford, Ingalls Farm, Longway Brewing, the Radford Chamber of Commerce, Radford on the River, the Radford University Art Museum on Tyler, and the Wilderness Road Regional Museum of New Bern. Last year, we brought in over 2,500 visitors, and we're working hard with our partners to promote awareness of this event and to grow it, and also to expand the scope of the event by providing more activities, and also trying to cover more of the history of all of the individuals that called this home during the colonial period. And we did receive a marketing leverage grant from Virginia Tourism Corporation, which is bringing $6,000 to our advertising budget. And we're also receiving support from the Virginia Commission for the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts for this event. But as far as funding all of our work, our key source of funding is through our membership campaign. Annually, we have usually over 100 memberships representing individuals, families, and businesses. But we're always looking to grow, so I'm going to look out at the audience. We'd love to have you join, and membership starts at $30 a year. Just this past June, we sent out our 2023 campaign, and thus far we have 50 memberships that have come through. And this is representing both renewals and new members. But another key element of our fundraising is through our gallery and gift shop, which continues to grow in its importance for our operations. It's not only helping the museum, it's also helping with economic development in the community by supporting local artists. In 2022, we paid out over $5,000 in commissions to our artists who were selling in the gift shop. And then just kind of a recap of all the entities that are helping us to help raise funds for our organization and to really provide all of these great services for the public. But to conclude, I just want to say in the first half of 2023, we've achieved a great deal, which is more thoroughly outlined in the written report, but I'm glad to answer any questions. But first, I once again want to highlight that all this great work and all these accomplishments are due to the tireless efforts of a special group of people. Through a team of dedicated board members, volunteers, and paid staff, we're able to achieve amazing things. And we are also very grateful to the city for all the many ways it supports our efforts. So thank you for your time and consideration. And do you have any questions?
Thank you, Scott. Excellent job. And I'll just say, in addition to all the wonderful things you shared, the gift shop really has been amazing. And it's more than a traditional museum gift shop. It really is a Radford store. So you can go and get all kinds of Radford trinkets and memorabilia. And I know Lori Murphy has worked with you and the Heritage Foundation Board to try to really up the level of that shop in the last few years. So it's been absolutely wonderful. Council members, do you all have any questions?
I don't so much have a question. I just wanted to say thank you for all you do, Scott. You do a great job with the museum, and you've worked really hard with partnering with various other things in the community. You've done a great job, so I appreciate your hard work in telling Radford's story. So,
Well, thank you very much.
We'd also be remiss if we didn't take the opportunity to recognize this board. Sitting on this board, I will tell you, and I've said it before, they are a working board. So they work very, very hard to bring events to the community that are not only valuable to the community, but they're really trying to drive some tourism as well. So they'll put you to work. They'll take volunteers, right?
I always joke, it shouldn't be a joke, don't ever tell me you have a talent because I will ask you about it.
Well, and I'm pleased that you're adding visitors to the Train Observatory and Mary Draper Ingalls Park into the count, because I think that better represents who's coming to see a little bit more about Radford's history. So I think that's excellent. Council members, you all have the Memorandum of Understanding, and I did want to mention that there has been a request to increase our funding to $17,000. We had planned for $15,000 in the current 23-24 fiscal year budget. Council members, do you all have any questions? I understand the additional $2,000 is to go for additional marketing and advertising of what you're working on, correct?
For the Mary Draper Ingalls Festival.
Okay.
And on that note, we've been very fortunate to be able to garner grants, but now this has grown really exponentially. And so if we're lucky enough to get the grant, which we never know for sure, right, we still are going to need some additional marketing material to be efficient.
And as far as the grant, the Virginia Tourism Grant that I mentioned, that the $6,000 that's coming, that's a matching. So we'll be spending $12,000 in advertising. So the extra support from the city would help us be able to achieve that.
Outstanding. And David, you feel like we can accommodate this with the budget that we have available? Okay. Council members, do I have a motion that we approve the Memorandum of Understanding in the amount of $17,000?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you to Anise and to all the members, Dave, to all the members of the Heritage Foundation, to the board, to all the volunteers, to everyone who works hard to make a difference with Glencoe and the entire Heritage Foundation portfolio of activities. So we're so appreciative. Okay, yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk industry here. Over the last few years, the city has been working to acquire the former Virginia Castings site that is 80 acres that goes essentially from behind this building close to Bissett Park all the way down to the Grady site, which was adjacent to the Foundry site. This 80-acre zone provides us an opportunity to not only clean up a challenged piece of property in the area, but more importantly, to provide new jobs, new opportunities, new business activity here in the city. So we have been doing our due diligence for years as it gets right down to it. But definitely in the last 12 months, we received 3 grants from the Department of Environmental Quality that helped us test not only the field area, but the retention pond that's there and several other sites. We went back and retested to make sure we weren't taking the city down a path that we would ultimately regret. We had some great meetings as a council with members of the Department of Environmental Quality. We worked with a number of folks, and little to no risk was found with us moving forward. There's work to be done, but it's work that can take place over a number of years. There are imminently developable sites on about 40 acres immediately, which is a very good thing for the city. That could essentially be one large industry coming to town. That could be multiple smaller industries, depending on how we want to move forward with that. And I think that provides us with something we don't currently have, which is commercial developable space in the city. When we brought Oronzi on board a couple of years ago, we used the last of our shell buildings that were located in the Commerce Park. And without that, you have a hard time attracting a new business. So we needed to make sure that we did our part to figure this out. So our option that we purchased provides an opportunity for $250,000 purchase of the entire site. 80 acres at $250,000 total is not a bad deal. We do have to add about $10,000 to that for the closing cost. And I do have some discussion I want to get into before we get to the business of this piece. We're working with the Department of Environmental Quality on some letters of assurance with the things that we've discussed, with the concerns that we continue to have, to make sure that everybody is on the same page and that as Radford City acquires the property, there won't be a surprise and suddenly we have to do something different from what we had anticipated. So my understanding is that's going to be finalized later this week, and then the closing should take place by July 30th, so the 30th of this month. So we're getting close to all of this. Having said that, council members, I think this is a great piece to move forward with. I think it's prudent for us to at least schedule another meeting that we may not need, depending on how the conversations go. If anything should come up that we need to be aware of, that we need to have further discussion about, just so that everybody can be on the same page. So I'll ask that you pull out your calendars and take a look at what looks like the week of the 24th through the 28th. I'm hoping either the 26th or 27th we could schedule something around 5:30 p.m. one of those days.
I am out of town. I am in town that Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, I am booked Monday and Tuesday with a special event at the university that I have 80 students that I have to be responsible for. Okay. What about Friday the 21st? I know Mike said he's on vacation, but can we do Friday afternoon the 21st?
I am still out of town. I'm out of town then as well.
I can do Friday.
And
Did you
I'm
call
just,
in?
I can try, but
Okay.
I'll be on the water, so I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
think we're going to need it. I just wanted us to go on and schedule something just in case.
That was my question, just for clarification, this is if something comes up.
This
on
is something,
Tuesday.
that's correct. We may not have a bigger issue. I just didn't want us to be scrambling at the last minute and trying to do this before the 30th and run into a problem. So let's plan for 5 p.m. on the 21st, just in case. Jenny, if you will book us? Right. We just need to be able to have a discussion. Should there be an issue? Should there need to be time for us to address something.
Just in case we do have to come, can we make it 5:30?
Yeah, 5:30 is fine.
Okay.
I appreciate everybody's willingness, and I think it's better to have something and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Agreed.
There's a lot going on, and this has been a long haul. I would hate to get to the finish line and have something come up and be like, oh, guess what? We're stuck. So I think we should be good. So council, what questions do you all have?
I don't have any questions. I'm excited about the property purchase.
Yeah, I feel good about the due diligence that we've done and those before us as well. I mean, this has been on the radar for many years, and I know Kim, David, staff, prior councils and this council have really looked at this with a thorough eye. So I'm excited. I think this is an opportunity to bring in some industry into this city that's desperately needed. So I'm
I
excited.
agree.
I feel like I've said about everything there is to
We've
say in
talked
these
it to
last
death.
5 years, so
This is getting close to the end. If there's
Yeah.
any more talking to be done, this is it.
I'm excited.
All right, well, do we have a motion to authorize the execution of the deed as well as to approve the appropriation ordinance? We'll do this in two different pieces. So ordinance 1791 is the authorization of the execution of the deed for the Virginia Castings Incorporated property located on West Main Street in Radford. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Do we have a motion for the appropriation ordinance 1787.06 in the amount of $260,000? That's $250,000 to purchase and $10,000 for closing costs.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes for both, we can dispense with a second reading of both. Is there a motion that we dispense with a second reading of ordinance 1791 and appropriation ordinance 1787.06?
So moved.
There's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Did you all do second reading on the ordinance?
We did.
You covered
We
them?
did. I did it as
Okay,
both.
I was
Yeah.
writing notes.
I did it as both.
So both second readings? Great, very good.
You know, this is a pretty monumental step for the city of Radford. That property has been challenged for a long period of time. The piece that we're talking about actually hasn't been active for a couple of decades. The most recent foundry was purchased and is being used as a recycling location, but this 80 acres has just sort of been sitting there for a while. And so this gives us an opportunity to really build the future. As part of that, what I'd like to do, as soon as we close, Kim, if you could help us maybe pull together council and EDA to have a discussion about the property. One of the hopes I would love to come up with is a great name for this site. The last thing I want to do is call it Old Foundry, Old VCI for years to come. I'd rather come up with something that's aspirational that says it's a new day in Radford and it's an investment in the west end of our city. So put your thinking caps on. Let's come up with something really awesome for this opportunity that we have for the city. Okay. Exciting. Exciting, exciting. It's hard to believe we're finally here after all the years of working on it and talking about it. We do need to talk about alcohol policy within the city areas outside of some of our restaurants and other establishments. Back in 2005, the City Council established a policy for sale and service on facilities such as Glencoe, Norwood Square, the 3rd Avenue parking lot, Riverside Park, and the Recreation Center, as well as the area west in the western portion of Bissett Park. For 501c3 groups. They can apply and they can have alcohol there. In the last few years since we developed Triangle Plaza, we've had a number of folks say that would be a perfect place for us to host an event, but it's not set up for that. So 2 things I'd like to do this evening, if we can. To look at Triangle Plaza as a place where we could host such events and to add that to this portfolio, but also to be thinking about other spaces as we redevelop portions of East Main Street, you know, places like the area that's going to be across from the Radford Theater, places like Carson's Courtyard, other spaces in the city that might make sense. So we can revisit that at another time, but I would like us to consider that you know, we really haven't had any problem with this. There was a lot of concern that it might be a little bit challenging to deal with, that it might be hard to regulate the sale and consumption of alcohol within those areas, and that really hasn't been an issue. And in fact, that program has been very positive for a lot of the activities that have taken place. And I know some organizations have been able to raise some much-needed funding that has helped them do the things that they're designed to do. So, council members, what are your thoughts? Would you like to advance the revision of the alcohol policy to include Triangle Plaza?
Yes, I absolutely would.
Okay.
I think that's a great opportunity.
So do we have a motion to do so? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. The only other discussion I'll say is I would like to revisit this as we work on East Main Street and look at establishing some other places so we can be a little ahead of the game. The last thing I want to do is to have someone have the perfect event that is planned and we got to rush to try to get it done, or we miss it because we didn't include it. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Do we need to do a date that this is effective, or is it effective now?
No, it was actually
No, we
not
were just
ever under an
amending the
It's
ordinance.
just a policy. I never could
Yeah,
find it.
we've amended the policy, so I think it's effective immediately.
Okay.
Great.
So essentially, all this is doing is adding one.
One more site, yeah. And of course, it'll follow what the policy has stated, where we designate the area with some sort of barrier, usually it's snow fencing, but have something in place so that it's appropriate. The policy includes how the alcohol will be sold, how it can be consumed, how many beverages folks can have. Council went through all of those pieces years ago to make sure that they had everything in place to handle that. Right.
And it's just beer and, I was reading.
It's beer and wine
Beer
right
and
now.
wine,
Right.
no hard liquor.
Right.
I saw it.
And as we have some distilleries in the city, we may revisit that. I mean, I think that things are always evolving as we have new programs. I know we work with our police department, we work with the city officials to make sure that this is working for the community. So, okay. This is something that I am so glad to see coming into place. If you've driven through Radford, you realize our traffic lights don't exactly sync up. And so you might stop and then stop and then stop and then stop and then stop. And it's not the most efficient way to move heavy volumes of traffic through Radford, especially when we have traffic that's routed off the interstate coming through the city and other challenges. So as part of this, the Virginia Department of Transportation has an addendum to our MOU, Memorandum of Agreement, for traffic signal coordination. It'll have new controllers and sensors for 15 intersections on East and West Main Street and 3 along Tyler Avenue. That is going to make a huge difference as you travel through Radford. And you won't realize it until it actually happens, where it's kind of like, I'm not getting stopped every 15 feet. That's pretty good. Some of the things that are included, these sensors have changed. It used to be that you had a metal detector sensor that was buried in the ground. That doesn't happen anymore, and the ones that are there really don't work right anymore. So this is actually a little camera sensor that detects when a vehicle is in place. I think that'll be helpful too for other types of vehicles that maybe wouldn't set off a metal detector, so that's a real positive piece as well as the software, which I know has been a challenge for us too. So design work is underway. We just need to approve the memorandum of agreement to include the traffic signal coordination between VDOT and the City of Radford. Do we have a motion to do so? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion second. Any questions or comments?
If approved, when, do we have any indication of when they would start work on this?
Well, design is part of it, but it's going to be a little while, right?
Design is part of it. It is a VDOT-driven project, so they've got a number of other localities involved in this work. We know Salem is also involved, but they have already been meeting with our electric department folks and engineering, our engineering office on this. So, you know, I would think it's not going to be far off, because everything has been driven by the new bridge construction and taking down the old bridge and the times the roads have been closed and how to get traffic quicker and better through the local communities. So I think it's going to be underway maybe by fall.
Oh, wow.
I was kind of thinking we'll be through with it, hopefully,
design
by the
phase.
time we finish East Main Street, so all of it can work together. So 18 months, maybe 24 months, something along that line. The good thing is it's going to happen. because we've talked about it, and it's not cheap. David, what's the total cost for this
We've had
thing?
it in our capital improvements program for a long time, and the cost of this is probably near $1 million, I would say, because every controller, the traffic heads won't change, but every controller will change, and then all of them will have the electronic eyes. So the good thing about it, we won't have to put the loops back in. Since it's traffic from the bottom of the vehicle, it will be from the top. So technology improvements, and then we can change signal heads as we go along, and hopefully we can pursue, transportation enhancement money for that.
And those sensors can be set, so if you have someone on a motorcycle or bicycle, it's recognized as opposed to having to be a big
Correct.
vehicle.
We recognize
That's
the
one of the pieces that's really challenging, as someone who's biked through the city. If you're waiting at a stoplight and there's nothing there, you're kind of stuck
You're in
because
the middle of the loop, it can't sense you.
you can't sense it, yeah.
Will the sensors that are currently underground, will they have to be pulled up as part of this? They
You
won't?
We'll
next
just pave
time
over 'em.
Yeah.
When we pave over, with the paving project, because that was one of our big questions with the big paving program next spring, we wanted to be sure that when the milling's done, that when those loop wires are pulled up, this is gonna be able to take its place. So no replacement.
So how much of the cost are we picking up?
Zero.
Zero.
$1 million, it's always
Don't
nice
get
to get
those-
$1 million.
Don't get those very often.
No, this is important.
Our project, they can run 2% to about 20%, but this one's no cost to us. It's, because it's US Route 11, 232, and US 177. So good news there.
I mean, there may be things down the road that we'll want to consider for some of the side streets and things like that down the road. But for this gets us along our main street, which is where the most congestion is, obviously. Okay, council, we actually have several appropriation ordinances. What I'd like to do is consider 1763-38, 1787-01, 1787-02, and 1787-03 as one group, and then look at 1787-04 and 05 as another group, if that pleases council. I'll read through all of these. We can then accept a motion and go from there. And that should be a little bit quicker anyway. So Department of Social Services does incredible work. Vicki, we thank you so much for you and your team for all that you do. We do need to adjust some of the budgets here to have additional funding to administer the public assistance programs. Cost of services is $13,566, which include the local match of $2,103, which is 15.5%. So these funds weren't programmed in the development of the fiscal year 2022-23 budget, which requires the appropriation for the expenditure. The next piece is the base budget requiring additional funding to administer foster care services in the event of conflict for salaries, benefits, legal services, and travel. And goodness knows we've had a lot of families who've needed to take advantage of these things. The cost of the services is $25,000 without a local match. They weren't programmed in the development of the 23-24 fiscal year budget, so we need that appropriation for that piece. We're also looking at an additional $6,000 to support adoption incentive programming. Federal funding is a result of increased adoptions over the previous fiscal year. And so this money may be used for education, training, and any post-adoption services as needed. Again, no local match, but that's $6,000 from the Department of Social Services from the federal government. And then finally, the department has received an additional $16,561 to review Medicaid eligibility for clients during the COVID-19 pandemic that were originally deemed not eligible. So this may go back and help some folks who maybe had some expenses or needed some help that we couldn't help at the time. So the state's funding may be used for overtime, increased part-time, and temporary pay needs. No local match is required. So council members, do we have a motion to approve Ordinance 1763.38 for fiscal year 22-23, 1787.01 for fiscal year 23-24, 1787.02 for fiscal year 23-24, and 1787.03 for fiscal year 23-24? We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Other than say that this is another board that I am on, and I will tell you, they do amazing things on a very tight budget. So I just want to take my hat off to that entire team. I'm always just amazed at what you guys can accomplish. So the impact you make on people's lives is just
Absolutely. Any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, having heard 4 affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Is there a motion that we do so? We have a motion and a second to dispense with a second reading. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. Now we have some funding from the Department of Criminal Justice Services for our police department. So Ordinance 178704 is a grant in the amount of $60,572. Captain Holdaway has arrived down front, and I think he's going to tell us a little bit about it. So the floor is yours, sir.
Yes, sir. I would just like to ask for an adjustment on appropriation ordinance 178705. It should actually reflect $171,017, and everything else is still correct.
David, would that be the local match included with the grant amount?
Yeah, let me check while you're telling them a little bit about the
Yeah,
work.
tell us about it.
So with these DCJS grants, it actually allows us to have a school resource officer at every campus in the city of Radford. So we actually have the positions filled, and look forward to continuing these grants. We've gotten them in the past.
Outstanding. Outstanding. We appreciate the work of our school resource officers, and I think this is a great way to do it. Having some grant money as well as our local match is good. So give us just a second while we add up some numbers and make sure we're good to go. 178705, 141,000, which is what I think it is if you add the local match and the state amount together. Correct? Okay.
So that's the right amount as approved by,
Yes, sir. On the statement of grant. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
what I would recommend you do is go ahead and approve the appropriation ordinance
1787.
number in the amount.
There's a typo on the action form.
Okay, go ahead and approve that with that amount, and I'll get the action form as well as the appropriation straightened out to Calista tomorrow.
Okay, so let's do appropriation ordinance 1787.04 with a grant in the amount of $60,572 with a local match of $19,076, and we're good on that, right?
Yeah, please.
All
Yes,
right,
thank you.
council members, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We had 4 affirmative votes, so we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Do we have a motion to do so? So moved. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. So do we want to go on and do the other in the amount of 139 or 171?
Do you use the same amount in second, oh, you're talking about for the second reading?
No, for 1787.05. What amount should we?
Yeah, do the 171.
171,000, how much? $17. Okay, so our second appropriation ordinance, which will support McCarg and Dalton, is a grant in the amount of $171,017, a local match of $40,959 that's coming from the existing department budget. So the total amount that we are considering this evening, including the local match, is $171,017. All right, is everybody clear? Are we good? Yes. I just want to make sure we're doing our job the right way. All right. It all happens in real time right here in front of everybody. Do we have a motion to approve 1787.05 in the amount of $171,017? We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes, we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Do we have a motion to do so? We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. David, the floor is yours, my friend.
Very good. Thank you. Just a couple of big items. July 4th was a big success in Radford. A new headliner performance. I thought all of the bands did a great job throughout the day. Great craft vendors, food trucks, food folks all did really well. The kids seemed to have a great time we're estimating from pictures and things like that, probably throughout the entire day, somewhere between 10 and 12,000 people. So it's our highest number. Melissa was telling me this morning that the bus drivers were saying that's the most people they've carried on the bus drop-off. So thank you to all of you all and the mayor for putting out a video to get folks to do that, because that sure did help us a whole lot. Anybody that was exiting the park knows the hillsides, the roads, everything. You just got to know when you come to Radford, you got to be careful that evening and be patient. Best fireworks show, 22 full minutes, so best fireworks show around. We're going to be meeting next week to start our debrief on next year and start planning ahead for our music groups and activities through the day and all that. So excellent event. Cannot say enough, and I don't want to miss anybody, but Parks and Recreation did a great job. Tourism, our public safety folks and fire and police did a wonderful, wonderful job organizing. Public Works with traffic, all the folks down here that were involved in everything from the planning to getting out checks and things to the vendors for the services. So just a great event all the way around. Thank you all for attending and being involved and supporting this very important activity for our community. It's a big investment, and you know, it's a big expectation. So we've got to, each year we got to make our mark a little bit taller, a little bit taller, a little bit taller. As the former mayor had said, I think he's left now.
Kick off.
But he had said we used to celebrate July 3rd, 22 to 25 years ago, something like that, and it was moved to the 4th, and we haven't looked back. So great event. Thanks to everybody involved. Super, super day. So thank you again. I'd like to call Jeff Dodson down for a moment. As you all know, Jeff Dodson has served as our police chief for the past 3.5 years. He has done a stellar job in that regard. He has put us through a many things and been very successful. Just a few items, expanded the SRO program, worked closely with the schools in advancing public safety there for our children, sought every possible grant that was out there, modernized equipment for us, restructured personnel and how we were set up in the offices and how policing was done, expanded training, been going through CALIA, which is a nationally accredited program, and we're in the final stages of that. Just about everywhere you go, the flock cameras, the advancement of all the different things that we have done through the state to make our community better, to make our community safer, community policing, just the list goes on and on and on. So I wanted to recognize Jeff and everything that he's done personally. The phone calls I get from him, I love talking to him, but when you get those at night, they're never good. But he is always knowledgeable. He always has a level head, talks me through the important things of what we're doing, and he's just always been a good leader and a good friend and someone that I work well with and our community works well with. I think we're all proud of him. He's got another opportunity in criminal justice and will be leaving us on Friday. So we wish him the very, very best. Jeff, I didn't want to embarrass you, but if you want to say a few words, this will be one of your last chances to address the public group.
No, thank you for the opportunity. It's been great. I really appreciate what everybody's done for me. Part of it's being left in good hands.
As you all know, this is never a, don't run off. As you all know, this is never a individual thing, it's a family thing. So we wish Jeff and his family the very, very best in all that he does, and we'll always have fond memories of him here in Radford. So we appreciate all that he's done for our community and all that he has provided for our community. Jerry, if you would come on down. So as Jeff exits on Friday at 12 o'clock, 12:01, Jerry Holdaway takes over as our interim police chief. We're excited about bringing him on board. He's no stranger to Radford. He's got nearly 22 years experience with us. Started out as a road officer, became a senior police officer, and then, let's see, I don't know if I ever get the order of this right, captain, corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, corporal positions we don't have now, but that was one of them, and then has been serving as our captain. So he's done a fantastic job, came highly recommended. Jeff's been working with Jerry for a long period of time. He is a criminal justice major. He is Pell's certified and has got a lot of credentials with the FBI and other VACP, Virginia Chiefs Association, for us. He knows Radford. He knows the police department. He knows our community, and he knows what we need. And I know he will carry forward the ongoing efforts at the department, the modernization and the improvements and the programming and the things that we want to do to make sure our community is safe and that our department is the best that it can be. So join me in welcoming Jerry on board as of Saturday. For both of these gentlemen, I could not say enough to collectively their love of Radford. For me, one of the most important things beyond that love of Radford and the Bobcat and all the things that go along with that, but it is also the love of the profession of public safety and public service. It's not for everybody, and you've just got to know what you're doing and got to be called to it, and both of these gentlemen have done that. So thank you. Wish you both the very best, outgoing and coming, and we look forward to working with Jerry as we move forward. So thank you.
Thank you both. I was
going to say, Jerry.
You're not turned on.
I just wanted to add, it's very nice when you have the opportunity to have those loyal folks that work in the city move up the ranks and have an opportunity at leadership. So I'm just very thrilled to see that you were willing to throw your name in the hat. It's not an easy job, as we all know. But maybe give the folks an idea. How many years have you been with our department?
So I've been here July 1st of 02 started, so I just finished my 21st year.
Yep.
And sometimes it seems like and other days it seems like it's been a while.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all those years of service, and we're looking forward to working with you.
Yeah, I meant to ask you if you want to say a few words. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll just say that, you know, it's big shoes to fill, and I know a little bit about being a cop, but I don't know a whole lot about being a chief. And I've talked to some of you, and I'll say that without the support from the city manager and city council, I would never take on this venture. So definitely excited, scared, and eager all into one. So I'm grateful for the opportunity and humbled at the same time.
Well, I want to say we're behind you. We're appreciative of you and know that you've been a relied upon team member for Chief Dodson as he's moved forward. And I think that's a really important piece. You know, this is nice to have the continuity, but also Jeff has such confidence in you. I think it makes it easier for all of us. So thank you and welcome. I did want to say one thing to add on to David's comments about Jeff Dodson. You know, when we were going through the process looking for a chief, we always have big shoes to fill, obviously, but we needed to find someone who was going to be able to work with our community policing concept, who was going to really help us advance forward in a modern era. Of course, Jeff was hired, I believe your first day was in January of 2020. Some things happened right after that. This last 3.5 years has been one of the most challenging times to be in any kind of leadership role. From the pandemic to some of the national racial challenges that have occurred to so many of the issues that have come up. And I have to say that Jeff Dodson has done an amazing job as the chief of police of the city of Radford. He's navigated through very, very difficult waters. He's helped us find a path forward. You know, summer of 2020 was a very, very difficult summer on a national and regional level. There were a lot of concerns that things were going to continue to spiral out of control, and the trust of the police was at an all-time low. Talking with Jeff and also talking with Sheriff Armentrout, we had a conversation right here in this room to say, how do we move forward? How do we figure this out? Training, standards, accreditation, enhancements with our hiring, all of the pieces that Jeff and his team have put into place are that way forward. And I feel fortunate that the city of Radford has had your service and your leadership during this time. I'm so appreciative of the team you formed, and you're leaving a great department in the hands of a great leader in Jerry Holdaway, too. So we're extraordinarily fortunate. But this city owes you a debt of gratitude we'll never be able to repay. And we just want to say thank you so much for all that you have done, both personally and professionally, for this community. And we are a better place for your service. So thank you so much. David, do you have anything else tonight?
I think that's it.
Okay. Kelly, what do you have for us?
So I'd like to welcome Dr. Collins. Stepping into a transitional time, so I appreciate you taking that on. The best of luck, and we're here if you need anything, just let us know. I went to the Cassette Rewind concert, part of our series, which was completely awesome. There was a huge turnout. I think it's the biggest that it was since we started this summer, so that was really good. And I'd encourage everybody to come out this Saturday, or the 22nd, I'm sorry.
22nd.
July 22nd, to come see the T-Tones, which is a doo-wop and Motown band. We went to the Highlander opening, several of us, and that was also phenomenal. They had great food, a lot of speakers. I've been seeing a lot of rooftop, pictures on social media where people are having a great time. They actually had a beehive down at the, the centerpiece. It was definitely the coolest centerpiece I've ever seen, so that was really nice to do. The Field of Honor that we had mentioned is truly moving. Every time I ride by that, it fills my heart with pride, knowing that I live in a city that puts on a display like that and takes our veterans seriously. So I'd like to thank you all for doing that. I put some flags up myself, and I look forward to that coming back next year. July 4th, I know we've all thanked everybody above and beyond, but we really had an amazing turnout. And we do have the best fireworks, and we do have the best staff that sets up everything. And I know it's tireless, not just for the people that are on the ground, but the back office administrative people. There's a lot of time that goes into that. So I just want to thank everybody that makes that event happen. It really is the best in the New River Valley, and maybe in Virginia. You never know. So. Congratulations to Peggy Huber. I'm so glad that we brought back the Big Al award. I definitely have some people on that list that I'd like to see get on there, but it's really great to have that added back in. I think we definitely need to recognize everybody that works so hard in our community. And Chief Dodson, you're awesome. I see you back there. I've really enjoyed working with you. This is a new position for me, and I learned so much about our police department and everything that you guys do, and you have always been there at the drop of the hat for any kind of odd question that I had, or to give me some insight on things, so I really appreciate your time and service. You really have done some great things for our city, and I know you'll do some great things in your next job. Chief Holloway, congratulations. Thank you for stepping up. It's always nice to have somebody be promoted from within that already knows the city so well. Nobody's going to know it better than people that have already been working it. So congratulations to you. Thank you for your time and effort that you're going to put forth in that job. It is a big job, and I know you will do well. And I know that we will support anything that you need from us. So congratulations. I'm probably forgetting some things, but I think that's it right now.
Thanks, Kelly. Actually, I'm going to move over here to Bobby. Bobby, what do you have?
Well, I want to start to say I was not here for the 4th of July. I wish I could have been, but I was in Tennessee enjoying my new grandson, so that was another different kind of 4th of July, pretty much. But anyway, enjoyed that. But it's funny, when I came back, I started hearing all these people were talking about the 4th of July. I'm like, okay, tell me how it went. Man, it was top notch. It was like the best fireworks around, and everybody was bragging. Everybody I spoke to was excited about it. I'm like, okay, that's the way we want it, So I heard nothing but good things, and just like always, it's always a class act. And speaking of a class act, Jeff, you're one of a kind. Thank you. We'll miss you, and I know it's big shoes to fill, but I was always so impressed when the fire came, you put it out. You know, one thing after another, man. You were putting the fires out, and I appreciate that. And it says a lot about your integrity, your values, and so you'll go far. You know, so in so many different ways. Peggy, you getting that award, it was unanimous. It's like we were all on the same page. Like Peggy, it's like, you know, everybody mentioned your name, and I see you out there working hard, and I mean, you're out there I've seen you out there on hot days, out there working, and regardless, I mean, you're out there working. I know you have a love of flowers. My mother, likewise. You two would be like, yeah, if y'all got together, I mean, it'd be like paradise as far as flowers everywhere, you know. But anyway, we appreciate everything that you do, and I know you do it out of the love of what you do. And once again, I appreciate everything that everybody participates in. I can't even imagine you guys getting together for the 4th of July and trying to get that together. I mean, to me, I can't wrap my head around it. I mean, it's just, I would have to pop a couple Tylenol. You know, I don't know how you do it, so, you know.
They didn't say they didn't do that.
Well, you probably did, you know. But anyway, that's all I have, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Bobby. Seth, what do you have this evening?
I'm going to keep the spotlight on Chief Dotson. I haven't had my opportunity to thank you for all you've done in this city. You know, in the short time I've worked with you, you've exemplified what we want as a leader. My goal in whatever I do is I would like to leave something in a better place than I found it, and I think you have certainly achieved that. I think that Radford is a better place because of you. You've initiated a lot of great policies. You've been a steward of helping with funding, training. You've just gone above and beyond, and I appreciate all you've done for this community. I know we all do. I wish you and your family nothing but the absolute best, and I'm excited that I think we'll still be able to work with you on some things, and I know you'll still be around, invested in this community, and again, serving and protecting this community is a special thing for special people. So I appreciate you. I look forward to working with soon-to-be Police Chief Holdaway. I know you've been here for a long time and have a love for this city, and I appreciate that. And I think you said it well. You do have big shoes to fill, but I know that Chief Dotson has the utmost confidence in you, as do we, and we look forward to working with you to continue to make Radford a safe place for everyone, and so I look forward to working with you. And again, Chief, thank you. God bless. Wish you all the best. And again, thank you for everything you've done for Radford. I'll keep it short. I think everyone has mentioned how great the 4th was. I do, and I think David mentioned it. It was 22 minutes. I even had a leader in the surrounding locality text me and say, man, how long was Radford's fireworks, man? He's like, ours were 16 minutes, and I'm getting complaints. So I was like, well, send them our way next year. So he didn't... But they're the best, and everybody involved. Thank you. We're fortunate for all the work that goes on for that. Again, I wanted to welcome our interim superintendent. You are coming in a transitional period, and I look forward to your leadership. I look forward to working with you. Radford school systems are a special place, as they'll tell you, we'll all tell you, and for you to take on that challenge and that investment means a lot to us, and we look forward to working with you, so thank you. I'll briefly speak on the Big Al Hall Award. I think it's unanimous that we've all mentioned we got the perfect recipient for the first one, and as we had talked about this, I swear it wasn't 2 days later, I was going in the roundabout, and it was raining, and you were out there planting flowers, and I was like, yeah, she deserves a plaque too somewhere, so yeah, so I think in the last 2 meetings, we've recognized 2 people that have really beautified this city with being able to recognize Jim Graham with the garden, and Ms. Peggy Huber, for all the work you do. Appreciate it. I think that service and acts like that are really what exemplifies the Big Al Hall Awards, so I'm excited to have that back. And I think the last thing, and I mentioned it, was, Scott, thank you for the presentation. You guys do a wonderful job down there at Glencoe, and look forward to working with you, and you do a good job. So I think that's all I have. I'll keep it short. Thank you.
Jesse, what do you have?
Yes, my moment of silence this evening was dedicated to Richard Vyers. I'd like to give you guys a little bit of a overview of some of the things that I've been working on in committees. I know I've had the opportunity to talk to you guys about an issue that we're working with at the Department of Social Services. We have a voucher waiting list issue. Just a very brief overview. Typically, when we open the waiting period, we have the ability to service the folks that are in Radford. They tried a new lottery system, and so to give you guys just a little idea, out of the 200 people on the wait list, the way they did it, we only have 52 from Radford. So we still had 146 people from our community that did not make our own wait list. This does not apply to all communities. Not all communities have done it this way. We're not sure if they're going to go forward and do it this way, but obviously we feel there's a disservice to our residents. I have been speaking with Delegate Ballard. He's aware of this situation, is equally, I think, appalled as I am. So I'll keep you updated. We should have a meeting with someone from the Virginia Department of Housing, I think probably in the next week or so. And we'll see where we go from there. But just know, I know I've talked to you guys a little bit in passing. We're not done with this. I'm going to be a bulldog about this. We have people here in our community. We don't really need to bring people in from other communities or other states to serve when we have people right here in our own yard. So I'll keep you updated on that. I had the opportunity to meet with one of our interviewers for ACLEA, which is the national accreditation that you've heard us talk about with our police department. And this was their on-site review. And I have to tell you, I could not have been more proud of our community. He was truly amazed at all the different improvements that we've made, all of the initiatives that have been put into place to make sure that we truly are the best department and really a community asset. So I think the next step, if I'm not mistaken, Chief, is that probably our new chief will be going in front of a panel and representing the department and go through a series of interviews. And I think, is that about the last step? Yep, and that's been over 2 years in the making. So thank you for all of your dedication with that process. A part of that is you're going to see a lot of community policing. Be on the lookout. They have invested in some bikes, so our officers will be out from the cars and interacting more closely with folks in our community. So you'll be seeing them out riding a bike. I probably need to join them. That probably is the ride out I need to do next. Get behind the bike. And Chief, I have already said my goodbye, but just to reiterate, truly, you have helped me be a better councilwoman. You have taken the time to explain the needs, the gaps, the strengths, the weaknesses, and you've always been very transparent with that. So you have truly made it easier for me to be the representative that you guys are so deserving of, and I look forward to working hand in hand with the new chief as well. Oh, the American Legion. So we're back working on some of those projects. I had David Morris, as we all like to refer to him fondly as Dink Morris, who's an electrician out, and he made a checklist of some things on the electrical side that he's wanting to tackle, and he's been speaking with the folks at State Electric, and they are willing to help us in some regards as well because they understand our budget is, well, basically zero. So I'm looking forward to that. I know we just had another meeting where he was getting ready to order some parts, so I'll keep you updated, but we have the electrical being worked on. And then I also had a meeting with Anthony Smith, and he does drywall, and he's also looking at painting. We have a lot of water damage, hence the new roof. So he's going to be getting back with us as well, and I think that he's willing to take this project on. So we have 2 more of those bigger pieces that will be moving shortly. Had a meeting with the fire department with their leadership team. They wanted me to say to everyone here, they thank you so much for the budget and recognizing some of their equipment needs, and also for the COLA. They said thank you, and the long weekend. Just a little information that we're probably going to expect in the community, and I know we'll be getting this out when it does transpire, but we're looking at hydrant maintenance. So they'll be communicating with us about that. That can have some interruption in our service. There could be some water discoloration for a short period of time, but they'll instruct us on what exactly we need to do with that. Little fun fact, if you look at the hydrants at the very top, there are 3 different colors, and those tell them what kind of flow is in that hydrant. Just a little fun fact. I wanted to share also the quote they had on their whiteboard. I think it was really so pertinent to all of us. It said, "The future depends upon what you do today." And I thought that is absolutely so accurate. They have monthly training schedules for all shifts that we reviewed. They also had plans to put the new boat on the river for the 4th of July. So folks, if they were looking for that, you'll see a new boat. You're also going to see them at many community events as well. So they want to be engaged with, we have the community policing. They want to do the community firemen and firewomen part. So be looking for that. CPMT, one of my boards, quick update to let you know the folks that we have been serving lately. In June, we spent $101,022. We served 36 cases that were active. Year to date, and this will be 1 month removed, we have spent $1,238,726.99. We still have 1 more month to go. It really is falling in line with the expenses of 2021 and 2022, but we're expecting a 12% higher increase in cost of services this year. So we will have to brace ourselves and hope that the need in the community doesn't rise in conjunction with those costs. So a little update on that. Of course, 4th of July, we've already said it. What a wonderful event, and thank you to everyone in the city that has made that a great success. That's truly, I think, something that we're very well known for and will continue to grow. At our chamber meeting, we reviewed the best of list, and we added a few more of our folks that made the list, and we could not be any happier to be able to do so, and we hope to see even more people on it next year. Highlander grand opening, we think it's the last one. We're not sure.
Never know.
We are thinking it's the last one, but we're not sure. But it was, again, a wonderful event, and we are thrilled to have them here. So they have a little coffee shop, so I know everyone was excited about the restaurant and the outside sitting area on the roof, which is great, but also if you have any meetings or anyone you want to see for coffee, they have a cute little coffee shop as well. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to belabor things too awful much. I did want to mention a couple of things. First of all, again, welcome, Dr. Collins. And I actually think it was great that you were here with us this evening because you got to hear a lot about Radford. And we have a lot of wonderful folks in this community that are here to be part of the team to help our schools be a success. So welcome and thank you for joining us. I do want to mention once again the Mary Draper Ingalls Festival. That's July 28th through the 30th. Go to Glencoe Mansion, all one word, glencoemansion.org, and check out all the wonderful things that are happening. There will be activities throughout the city over the course of those 3 days. This is also a state-designated holiday and festival. The General Assembly, a number of years ago, designated the last weekend in July to be Mary Draper Ingalls Weekend in Virginia. So it's a big deal. So invite your family and friends, come on out and have a good time and celebrate some of our history and heritage, as Radford is a city of journeys, and Mary's Journey is one of the signature components of that. I am serving on the New River Valley Regional Commission. For the last 5 years, I've been the council representative to the Regional Commission. I'm continuing my role. I actually accepted an appointment to their executive board, so I'll be working even more closely with the Regional Commission. I have to tell you, Kevin Bird and his staff do amazing work. They've worked with us on the Main Street project. They've worked with us on a number of other studies and issues. They help us to get grant money. The opioid proposal that was put forth and granted, that should bring another $3 million to the New River Valley to help with abatement of the opioid crisis. The Regional Commission had a central effort in helping to pull together. We're going to have them come join us probably either late fall or early spring to talk a little bit about those activities, because I think it's important that we look at things on a regional level. That's how we're able to move the dial for Radford, the New River Valley, and Southwest Virginia. Kevin is consistently recognized as one of the best Planning Commission district leaders in the Commonwealth. And so we're really fortunate to have him, and I'll keep you posted on what's happening with the Regional Commission. We were lucky enough to host them last October in the city for the annual meeting, and hopefully we'll have them back again in the next 3 or 4 years and celebrate once more. Congratulations to everyone. Peggy, I hope we surprised you this evening. You were making me a little nervous because it was 7 o'clock, and I was like, where's Peggy? Because I told her we were going to be discussing beautification. I didn't tell her what we were going to discuss, but I got a little nervous that maybe she said, "Nah, I don't think I'm making it tonight." But we appreciate everything you do. I've had the pleasure of working with you for a number of years, and boy, I'll tell you, nobody is more dedicated to this community with flowers and trees and the love of this place. So we thank you so much. To everybody, thank you for all that you do. This is an important time in the history of Radford. It's a transition period in a lot of ways. To some of Jesse's point, with some of the struggles we have with folks dealing with family issues, with housing issues, with other things that our social services and other boards deal with, us moving forward and advancing as a community is crucial. So for example, simple things like finalizing the 80-acre purchase to build new economic activity, working with our police department to have better quality policing and better relationships in the neighborhoods. Those all make a big difference in the lives of people every single day. And so it's really important that we continue to move forward in that direction and continue to advance the city so that this is a city of progress and opportunity and possibility for all of the families that live here and all that will be living here. And with that, we'll see you around at the concerts. We'll see you at the Mary Draper Ingalls Festival, and we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor say good night. Good night.